Hello, everyone. Welcome to Adobe Life. Happy Thursday, almost the end of the week and day 2 with Kladi. Kladi, say hi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can see so many lovely people from the challenge that stayed here with us.
Yeah, thanks for staying. Kladi is just taking over the channel. So today's day 2 with working on Kladi's E-zine. Yesterday we've been diving into InDesign. It was super, super fun. I believe today we're going to go more into Photoshop and detail it and, jump into the ready product. So Kladi, so exciting. Thank you so much for being here with us. And thanks for everybody who's joining us in the chat. Mallory, Steve, Jack, Uma Korn, Julie, Vudaval, so many lovely people. Thanks so much. Let us know what you all are up to. Let's start a conversation. Feel free to ask questions. Kladi is always very happy to answer and explain if there are any questions in the process. So feel free to do that. And if you're joining us from YouTube, make sure to head over to be.net/live. This is where we are reading the chat, and this is where you can ask us questions live. And so exciting, Kladi. Let's give a little brief summary about what we were doing yesterday and what you're going to be working on today.
Absolutely. If we jump into my screen, I just have a new slide, and I actually edited it because I know that I noticed that yesterday, like, our heads were over it, so nobody could really read it. So hopefully today I've done a better job, although our amazing Paco behind the scene is always helping us out to make sure that everything is displayed correctly. So you can see here our plan for this 2-day stream. If you missed yesterday, make sure to go back and watch the replay because we do have, I've done a lot of work, although we will pick up exactly from when we left off and just talk about the most important topic. We started creating mood board, play with the frame tools, and created a mood board all about Frida Kahlo. Let's not forget that this is, we kicked off, of course, with the 8th of March, Women International Day, and this is Women International Month, and I'm so happy to have the honor to be back here at Adobe Live after 2 years. I was, as I mentioned, back with Ari as well, and so many other amazing ladies that I've been streaming with. First of all, before we get started, I wanted to say thank you to Rita, because I was talking about my love for Frida Kahlo, and I actually received a Frida Kahlo mask and also a Frida Kahlo scarf, which has Frida Kahlo on one side. I don't know if you can, hopefully can see it here. And then he has Frida Kahlo paintings on the inside. So I'm extremely thankful. Thank you so much, Rita. That was very, very lovely thoughts. And talking about what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be going back and creating some interactive elements in InDesign. So we're going to be creating a digital publication that allows us to have buttons and hyperlinks, and we're going to be placing a video inside. And of course, we're going to be talking about some more standard InDesign elements like, paragraph styles. And maybe, I don't know if you ever heard, let me know in the chat, the next style, which is a very fast way of styling your text. And then we're going to move around on the content aware wrap, which is a brand new InDesign feature of 2021 that works with the amazing Adobe Sensei, the artificial intelligence from Adobe. And me and Julia are going to be showcasing how to share for the review, which is a super amazing way of editing and reviewing your files that will help you to work with your teams, with your colleagues, but also with your client, and really accelerate your workflow when editing and reviewing your files. So this is the general plan for today. I'm sure that you're going to be able to read some more in this slide. Of course, if you want to get in touch with me, you can always do so on Instagram at @IamKladi. And Julia, what is your Instagram? Because I know that you are super, super active on Instagram as well.
Oh, thanks. It's Julia Masalska. Make sure to follow Kladi, check out her work, check out my work if you want. Yeah, we're always really happy to connect with individuals from all over the world. And we are both having our design community there that we're trying to educate with what we know, what we can share on our experiences. So yeah, join us there.
Of course. And as I say all the time that I have the wonderful luck to be here on Adobe Live, I love being here because I feel that that's such a safe space to learn. You will see so many different approaches to design. Of course, I'm here to share my own workflow and what I do. Nothing is, right or wrong. It's just different ways of approaching these amazing apps, and in particular working together with a creative cloud. In fact, today we're going to be jumping from InDesign, Illustrator, a bit of Photoshop, and really taking advantage of the full power of the creative cloud, and of course of the cloud documents with libraries.
Yeah, and while we're talking about working in different applications, let us know what applications you are mostly working with. What kind of Adobe applications you're using these days? Are you using Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign? I use a lot of them, honestly, and I feel like it can really accelerate a design if you're going across applications using CC libraries.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, I was just taking advantage of some water when you were talking. I usually mute myself because I remember I was pouring some water, and I had some comment in the chat saying someone had to run to the loo because I was like, dripping water from the bottle to the glass. So it was a little bit of suggestive noise. So I tend to mute myself right now. But yeah, fantastic. So we can perhaps also show everything that we blabbed about real quick, what we done yesterday. Again, if you scroll down in the amazing Adobe Live schedule, you're going to be able to watch the replay of yesterday. So, nothing is lost. Feel free to join from today. We're just sharing new techniques. But if you really look forward to see how did we get there, yesterday video will be able to explain that in details. We created the mood board with the amazing Frida Kahlo, including your paintings. I'm really obsessed by Frida Kahlo. My cat, I have two little cats, an older cat and a kitten, and they're called Frida and Kahlo. So that's the level of obsession.
Kladi, you're hilarious. You're hilarious. You're really obsessed.
I actually have a fantastic portrait of Frida Kahlo just in my house. And as you can see from the photo here, Frida Kahlo's house was painted in blue, called the Alcoba Azul, which is also one of the wonderful songs that is part of the movie about Frida. And what I've done, I actually go ahead and painted my entrance in blue. Not my entire house, but my entrance door, and then my little entrance in my house is actually painted in the same blue, just as a tribute to Frida. And I have a big portrait. So yeah, I'm slightly obsessed. This is actually the color blue from her book. And I will also suggest this, if you are a fan of Frida Kahlo, this is a book from an exhibition that has been touring the world. I view it in London at the Victoria and Albert Museum. And the beauty is called Frida Making Herself Up. So it's about like her makeup, her dresses, her life, her everyday life, because apparently Frida was always ready for guests. Even if she was alone at home, she was always ready. The beauty that she portrayed in her paintings was throughout her house, and throughout the way that she dressed, and of course her origin mixed, a little bit of Mexican and also American origin, and American life mixed it together. So she really tried to balance this duality between the modern world and the traditional world as well. And I just wanted to spend a little bit to talk about this very inspiring figure, because I know that many people know her, and even myself yesterday, I put some flower on my head because that's the most iconic look. But Frida is a very inspiring woman, and I thought that, being International Women's Month is definitely to remember. She was a feminist, she was an activist, and she had a kind of a tragic life, but through her heart, she managed to channel and to really bring everything that happened to her into a positive. There is actually a quote from her, because she's usually depicted as a surrealist, and she said, I thought that I was a surrealist, and then I just realized that I was painting my own life, but of course in colors. So the entire goal of my project in these 2 days was to get inspired by such a powerful, wonderful woman. And then from her color, from her heart, and from her life, we created this mood board. And then we went into Photoshop, and hopefully I can open the file. I don't know if I haven't saved it. If not, maybe we can do that just real quick. What we did was to load the actual image from our libraries. Here it is. And then we selected a color from our libraries, thanks to the capture service. That's definitely something not to miss. I'm just going to show it like super quick, but watch yesterday file in order to really learn in details how to work it out.
There's so many useful tips yesterday. Oh my God, there was like a whole load of new tips, even for me, although I can kind of consider myself a pro, but I was still learning so much.
Well, that's the beauty of Adobe Live, Julia. I learn every single time from you, from everybody that is here. That's the beauty of sharing the behind the scene, you know, the messy part.
Totally agree.
I saw my mom in the chat, and yesterday when we finished the stream, my mom was like, Kladi, what was going on? There was like text overlaid. One of the other wasn't readable. And I was like, no, we are creating an interactive button. So we're going to have text displayed in front of the other. But that's the truth. That's the reality. It's going to look ugly before it gets pretty. And that's why we're here sharing the real workflow and the way to work around this problem. So we're all learning all the time. So as I was saying, the capture service that is now available since Adobe Max 2020 on Photoshop, inside Photoshop, will allow you to create so many different assets. You can create gradients by picking the colors from your mood boards or whatever image you have inside your layers. You can create shapes using that tracing here. So we could actually create a real quick Frida portrait and also patterns with the image that you selected. And then you can save all of those inside your creative library simply by clicking to save to CC libraries. So that was part of the workflow, trying to get a color palette from Frida, life, color, dresses, house, and all that beautiful stuff. And then we dived inside InDesign and we started the construction of our file. So we created the document. We talked about pixels and the size to use. I'm using a 600 by 700 document, which is actually, no, let me get the size correctly under my properties panel.
Meanwhile, we were mentioning the software that everybody's using. So Flip is using InDesign, Anime is using After Effects and Photoshop. Cool combination. And Lisa is saying Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, XX, I'm assuming XD and Bridge. So cool. So many different. Carol is using Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and Dimension. Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign are all part of my learning process right now, Michael says. So many really cool combinations. I love it. I think that's super, super cool.
Yes, that's the beauty of the Creative Cloud, the fact that they're, you know, the apps are meant to be work together. And that's the real life of a designer, like literally jumping from one app to the other. It really never happens that I only have one app open. I usually have at least 2 or 3 apps open, and it's beautiful the way that they can interact. And of course, working with the library, especially now that thanks to the cloud documents, we can edit and share. And today, me and Julia are going to show you how to do that as well towards the end of the stream. So make sure to stay tuned until the end. Talking about what we done yesterday, so you can see already we created our pages, we created some master pages. So if you want to know all this beautiful stuff, make sure to watch the replay. We created some page numbers that are inside our masters by creating some markers with a current page. We moved it to a section. So we have our page number 1 that is actually the physical page number 3, just because we can allow to have an introduction and of course a cover. And then we were starting to style the text using paragraph style and character styles. And we built multiple character styles because we were looking to create some interactivity. Also very important, when you're creating a digital document, I would definitely suggest to create a bespoke workspace. Yesterday, we talked about that, so you can find more information about that in yesterday's video. As you can see, I have a bespoke workspace in order to work faster, but you can always use one of the presets that are available here in InDesign by clicking on what is usually set as essential, and then you can create digital publishing or interactive for PDF in order to have access to the interactivity panels, which we're going to be using a lot while creating an editorial for a screen, so a digital editorial piece.
Cool. We have Taslim joining from Germany. Welcome. And we have Viola also here. Viola, welcome. Thanks everybody for joining.
Absolutely. And I want to say hi in particular to Viola because she's made some lovely pieces in InDesign. So it's very fantastic to see you here working on InDesign during Rework It. And actually, Julie, if you don't mind, I'm going to take 1 second to talk about Rework It before we get started, just because we are looking for new submission. The show is going on on here on Adobe Live, Jesus Ramirez and I do rework your work live. So if you want to submit your work, and the reason why I want to talk about it right now is because we don't have many InDesign projects. So since we're now talking about InDesign, and I hope that there are so many InDesign lovers, this is the time for you to submit your work, because we are really looking at InDesign files. Of course, feel free to submit Illustrator and Photoshop files as well. All you have to do is to head on iamkladi.com/reworkit, and you're going to be able to click on submit your design, fill in your form. Make sure to place your Behance profile so we can give you a shout out. And again, it doesn't have to be a masterpiece. We're there to rework it, give you advice. It could be half done. It could be that you have some question regarding how to finalize it.
Or when you're stuck, sometimes I get stuck in my design process, and then I just need a new perspective on it. So I think that's a really great opportunity.
Yes, and of course, we have, I usually work in Illustrator and InDesign, and you have the amazing Jesus Ramirez that is, I call the Photoshop encyclopedia, giving you all the possible tips in Photoshop. So that's about rework it, and it's coming up next week. So make sure to submit your work. We really look forward to that. And since we are on my website here, you can find so many other resources and courses. There's
some freebies there too.
A lot of freebies, a lot of videos, and some amazing Illustrator bootcamp that is hosted on the Adobe edX website. So you can learn more, a lot of started file in there as well. Right. But it's time to get going and come back into InDesign. Julia, feel free to let me know if there is any question in the chat or to interrupt me anytime. Sure. I'm going to go back and talk about a little bit of this interactivity. So that's where my mom was like, Kladi, we cannot read anything at all. The text is overlapped. Well, don't worry about it. That's the exactly where we're heading in building a little buttons. As you can see, if we zoom in at the bottom of the text, we have these little icons, which are letting us know that those pieces of text are in fact buttons. And the reason why we transformed these textbooks in button is because we wanted to be able to use the interactivity between two buttons, which is the show and hide mode. But let's talk about how to do that. So first of all, let me show you how it works. And in order to preview anything that you do in terms of interactivity inside of InDesign, the panel that you look for is the EPUB preview, interactivity preview. And you can find it like any other panel in pretty much all the Creative Cloud apps by choosing the window menu. And underneath, you will find all the different panels, either just displayed or nested. So for example, in particular for the EPUB interactivity preview, you will find it until the interactive folder. So click on interactive, hover on interactive, and then you'll be able to find it here, EPUB interactivity preview. And usually when I place this panel, I make sure that it's nice and big because we really want to preview our entire pages. In order to load your preview and to display it, make sure to click on play. So play is not like playing a movie. It's actually refreshing. So although it's a play button, maybe it should be like somewhere like, like an arrow to refresh or update, but that's a way in which you can update any information. So if you make any changes, always make sure to click on the play button to refresh your preview. And then from here, you will be able to see any interactivity. So something that we have created yesterday was a status effect for a rollover. So when we roll over our buttons, anything that is a button that has a status, you will see that it changes color. And then when you click on it, it also has a different click color. So when you click, it actually changes color. So we have this bright pink coming up. And that's the reason why we have the text overlaid, because the text is going to be showing inside the same space, but it will be, of course, interchangeable depending on what you're clicking on. So if you want to have information about the light and now how much light a plant should have, of course you can click on light, and here we go, the same for the food. By the way, I did remember to bring my book today, but I want to keep working for now, and then maybe when we have a little break or with questions, I can show a little bit more about my book as well.
Yeah, totally. And I was just like thinking while you were clicking through, I was just thinking the reason why we actually need a color change when we hover over something. I think it's just visual feedback for us to know that there's something we can click, right? So sometimes when we're kind of like going through a website and then we see that visual feedback, the color changes when we hover over it, then we intuitively know that there is a certain functionality hidden in this specific field that we're hovering over. So it's very interesting to kind of think about our intuitive behavior when we're designing something like that, right?
Absolutely, I completely agree. I think that's you said it perfectly.
And by the way, this is already going very much into user experience design. And you can integrate user experience design into your InDesign interactive PDF document. How interesting is that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the user experience is, I see it all over, you know, not only on the web, but also when perhaps designing physical experience as well, like events. I think is very important to understand the user perspective and to help. Actually, my first book, when I started to create website, it was called Don't Make Me Think. So the entire idea of guiding an experience is to allow to make it as spontaneous as possible. And you will do that by, of course, having some triggers like a change of colors and everything that you were talking about just a second ago. Yeah. Right. So let's see, how do you create these buttons? That's exactly where we left it today. And I promise, because I was going so fast, we just had a few minutes left to expand a little bit more today, or perhaps just to take a little bit more of a second to go back and really show what we were doing there. So
there's a question in the chat, a quick one by George. Can we add a line from the word to the description too? Is it possible to add kind of like a connecting line? Or is it necessary, or would you do it?
Okay, so I'm just
like a connecting line, just a visual connection from the topic to the text.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So what we left to do, actually, let's do it. Let's start by doing that and then we'll move forward. So the first thing that I want to do is to make sure that I name my buttons correctly when I create them. I cannot stress that enough. You must create you must name appropriately your buttons, because it will make your life so much easier. And the difference between making your life easier and hell is just the name of your buttons. Like, is that easy? So you want to make sure that your buttons are named correctly. In fact, here, especially look at that, we have overlapping text. How do I know what is about which one is the light text, which one is the foot text? Where if we do open our buttons and form panel and we just simply click on the text box, we know that we did our job right because we named them. So we know that now I'm clicking on the foot description. And then if I click on the light, we have the light description. So we know what we're doing just because we have done our naming correctly. So now let's say that we want to add a line. I don't know how would that work. I'm just assuming. I'm just going to design like this little line.
I think that's what you meant. Just like a visual connection. Okay. And maybe that connection can appear. Is it possible to make it that it appears with the with the description once it appears?
Of course. So what we get to do when the behavior of show and hide buttons works on the principle that all the elements are buttons, and the action that we actually trigger when we select and set the light as a button is the action that is called show, hide buttons and form. So when we click on the button, the result that we can achieve is to show or to hide a button. Therefore, we're going to have to make all the other elements button. So in order to allow this line or whatever other graphic elements or text or image or whatever you want to appear, so to show or to be hidden, we have to transform it into a button. So once we have created our stroke, what we do, we go to the buttons and forms. We're going to click on the type of elements that we're going to create. And of course, as I say, we're going to create a button in order to trigger. We're going to name it and we're going to call it light line. And don't forget here, I do it all the time, and I will love to appeal to the InDesign gods to perhaps make it that a little bit easier. Like if you click away, look what happened. It doesn't, if you do something else, the name usually doesn't stay. You must hit return to make sure that your name is and your label is there. So be very careful with that. I've done the mistake so many times. In this case, we do not have any particular action for this button, besides the fact that we have to just for the line, besides the fact that we just have to create it into, we just have to make it into a button, just so we can trigger it then with the action that is located inside the light button. So now let's go ahead into the light, and then when we select the show and hide, we can now manage the visibility of the different element. When we see a cross, that means that we are ignoring that element. So that it will not have the buttons will not have any effect on that other particular button. So we know that we created a button that is light and food, which are the actual button that we can click on. And we don't want that to change and to do anything, so we can ignore them. The actual content that is going to change is the description, or in this case, as I don't know who asked the question, I believe it was George Carmona, the stroke. So in this case, all we have to do is to change the visibility of the stroke. And in that case, we have to click on the eye icon in order to show. Sorry, let's make sure that we, first of all, select the right element, which is going to be the light line. I want to make sure that you can either click on the little eye icon to toggle between visible, hidden, or ignore. And of course, we want to make sure that it's visible. So when we are clicking on the light button, it will be visible. Fantastic. So once we then move into our food button, sorry, I was zoomed in a weird way. What we want to do is to make sure that we hide the light line. Here we go. So we actually cross the eye. So the icon is eye, show, cross eye, doesn't show, is hidden, and then only the cross, it means that is ignored, so the behavior doesn't change. So let's see what happens when we do our little test into the EPUB preview. Getting a little mixed up by all these amazing little zoom that I do with the iMac, because I zoom the file, but then I also try to zoom the interface as well, and that's why it gets a little bit pixelated.
And by the way, if you all have questions in the process, if something is unclear, or if you're working along trying to experiment and something doesn't work, let us know. Kladi, I'm sure she's gonna be able to repeat it and go a little bit more into detail if necessary.
Absolutely. So as you can see, once I open up my EPUB interactivity, nothing has changed, because remember, in order to upload changes, we gotta press the play preview all the time. So now that we pressed it, we have this little line coming up, and the line is there because we have the light selected, which is the first one. So look what happens once we click on food, the line goes away, and if we click on light, it will appear. Now let's see what happened. It looks like I have done something with the text. Oh no, yeah, let's have a look and see what happened there. And that's the beauty of having the preview, so you can understand what's going on. So let's go back to the light button. We want to make sure that the light description is invisible. The food description, see, it was ignored, so I just kind of left it there. We want to make sure that the food description is hidden and the light line is displayed. Now, if you want to create a copy of this line, so perhaps we can create another stroke for the food, just like so, just to show you that the little difference of how it works. Again, all you have to do is to create a button. In this case, we're going to call it food line. Click on return to create the little label for the name. And then when we select the food button, we're going to go back, and in this case, we are going to hide the light description, hide the light line, and we want to display and show the food line. So now we can go back into our preview, make sure that you reload it. And here we go. We have two lines, and that reminds me of something else that we got to do. Once we click on the little line here, because we didn't have to do that with the first one, because it was the first one. So when you open your document, that will be showing, because otherwise the content will be completely empty. But for the second one, that it comes only after the button is triggered, we must do something, which is tick the hidden until triggered here. So when you create a secondary element or a secondary button that will not display until a second action is taken, like the food line over here, you must click hidden until triggered. And that, of course, it doesn't work like that for the light because it will be already there. I hope all of that makes sense. And we're going to test it on our EPUB. But look how important it is to have this preview. Imagine if I assume that I've done everything right and then I ship it online and then everything is broken. That would be a little bit silly of me not testing. And that's why pretty much we were talking about with print, we proof print in order to overview any issues or any mistakes with paper, or it's very important to preview or proof your document before you ship it to your clients or before you have your final production.
Absolutely.
So again, let's update the preview, and looks like we did it. The food line is there, but it's been hidden until triggered. And now when we click on food, here we go. It will appear until food when you click the food. And again, you can keep doing that over and over again. Cool. So I'm going to delete the lines because I don't think that they suit my description. But if they do suit your brief, please feel free to use them. I love minimalism in design. I try to keep as little element as possible. Cool.
And we have a quick question in the chat. Danny's asking, can we apply these features to pictures as well? So can we do the same interaction with photos? Yes,
absolutely. So I was going to do it with the text, but let's do it with an actual image since we have a question. So what I'm going to do here is to click to my CC library. We have imported my artwork yesterday. We're going to talk about Illustrator and how to import artwork. And if you're not an illustrator yourself, how to leverage some Adobe Stock vector templates. So we're going to dive into that in just a second. But now, just for the sake of the demonstration of the button, I'm going to use one that I've created already. So simply click and drag the image inside your document, just like so, and then you can resize it. Don't forget to use the shift key and command to resize it, and then we can fit it in the frame like we did yesterday by using the option command shift E. That's alt control shift E if you're working on a Windows machine. And again, let's keep shrinking it to whatever size we want. Now that is not going to make sense with the actual labels, but I just wanted to show you how the image works. It's exactly the same. Again, all you have to do is to transform your text, your line, your graphic, your image into a button. Once you transform them into a button, you're going to be able to use the show and hide button activity. And that's pretty much what it is. But let's start it from scratch by using the word water, which is now being transformed into a button, so we can actually display this interactivity from the start. So the first thing I'm going to do is to select the text, which is the word water, and I'm going to head to my button and forms panel, which you can also find under window and interactive button and forms. If you don't have it in your workspace, that's where it's located, as every other panel inside the Creative Cloud apps. And then once we select the water or whatever text you have there, we can click on the type of element of the button that were created. In this case is a button. Make sure to name it, and I'm going to call it water. Then let's add the actions. So that's what are really going to make the difference. So there are buttons with actions that are the one that trigger a behavior of the other objects, of the other buttons. And the action that we're going to be using is always the same: show and hide button and forms. So in this case, in order to make it happen, we need to create another buttons that we want to trigger. But what's going to happen to the visibility of the other buttons that we have created? As you can see, anytime that we create a new button, it gets added inside the visibility little panel here inside the visibility option inside the button and forms panel. So the light, we know that is a button that always going to stay there. It's like a little menu, a little navigation. So we want to make sure that that stays ignored. We don't want to make any change to that. Regarding the description, in this case, we can also hide it. Again, it's a little bit different because we're displaying an image rather than a text, but it's completely fine just because of the layout that we were working on. But that's, again, let's work on the principle of what happens to the other elements. Regarding the food navigation item, we want to ignore it. That means that it's going to stay there at all time because we got to click on it in order to access the food content. And the food description, it needs to be hidden because we don't want it unless we click on the food. So the icon to select is the hide with the cross in order to hide. Water is the actual button. So at the moment, we're just going to ignore that. The second step, so actually the third step to do when creating a button after setting a button, naming it, setting the visibility of the layers, is to change its appearance, like we were saying before. So simply click on the other status in order to change the appearance. So for now, I'm going to click on rollover, then double click on water. And we did already neatly created some character styles yesterday. So I can go ahead and apply it. By the way, they don't come with the buttons. You have to create them yourself. Again, if you don't know how to do that, we're going to talk about character and paragraph style again today. But if you want to know more in details, go ahead and watch yesterday's video to learn how to see how we did create these different character styles. So this is the appearance that is going to be for the rollover status. While for the click, we're going to actually go ahead and again select the text and give it our click bright pink appearance, then set it back to normal. And what we have to do now is make sure that we create a button out of the image. So select your image, and from the button and form, select button. And then from here, let's name it. And I'm going to call it image. And then
hi, Laura and Michelle joining us. Super cool.
And we got Steve. Ciao, Steve. Thank you so much. And of course, Voodoo Val. Val, I can't believe I haven't said hi to you yet. Hi, Val. Thank you so much for helping us in the chat. Again, so name your button. And now we can go back on water and we can manage the visibility of our image. So this is going to be the only element, the only button that we're going to show. So click on show. Oops. Again, I do that mistake all the time. Make sure that you click on the right buttons. In this case is image, and click on show. So you see the little eye icon appearing there. And we can actually place it instead of the text right here. And now we can go back into our interactivity preview, load. And wait a second, I just, before we load, I know that I already missed something. Remember what I said? When we have an element that is not showing right away, we have to click hidden until triggered. So remember, pretty much unless you are working on the visibility of an item that is already displaying on your image whenever you opened it, everything else that is hidden and only comes when you click on other buttons must be hidden until triggered. So remember, this is always going to be your option for every secondary element of your navigation, of your interactive elements. So I'm glad that I remember before having the surprise here. And click on the preview. So once we load the preview, we see that we have our light, and then we have our food. And where's the image? The image is not there, is hidden until we will click on water. And that's when the visibility of the image will be triggered. So pretty much exactly like the text, light, food, and water. In this case, we had to also hide it from the previous one. So again, in order to fix it there, head onto light and make sure that you deselect and hide the image from food, and the same from light, sorry, and the same from food. And let's refresh. And here we go. When we click on light, we have just light. When we have food, we have just food. And we click on water, we just have the image. And now it goes back and it's hidden, just like so. And you can do that as many times as you want. So you need to be very careful when creating buttons. Is something that, you know, you really want to take your time and you really want to preview. But something that perhaps, you know, you could do is also, in this case, I'm using it for the text, just because that was the plan for my book, and in order to basically condense 3 pages in one. So we're really going to make the experience, we really want to grab the viewer attention, so it doesn't have to scroll, it doesn't have to change page, it's going to have all the information in one page. We're really saving times to our users as well. I'm actually going to create a button with the water. So in this case, it's going to be the water description.
That's super cool. And Denny saying thanks, very helpful.
I'm so glad. Again, I'm glad that I remember before doing anything else, hidden until triggered. And now that we created the water description, let's make sure to link it on the water. So underwater, we want to show it We want to trigger the visibility of the water description. And let's make sure that on the other buttons, we hide it. The normal behavior that is default when you create a new button, it will be to be ignored. So that means that it will be displayed most likely, or whatever is the status, the other button are not going to change it. So make sure that you always manage the visibility of each buttons once you create it. So you really want to take your time to do that. So everything should be okay right now. Something else that you might want to do is to click and drag over your text box and then head to your properties panels, which is over here, and then make sure that we align them to the top. So there is no, click on the align to and select align to selection, and then align it to the top. I must have selected something else. Yeah, it looks like I've selected the other text box as well. So make sure that you only select the 3 items, because we want to make sure that when we switch between buttons, there is no movement. So it just looks nice and organized, and it looks like we haven't not been
like we're not jumping up and down. Yeah,
correctly.
Yeah. And another thing that I completely forgot to mention, everybody, we have an artist spotlight today. So we're going to be spotlighting a very special artist later on in about 50 minutes. So, and if you have someone that you would like to nominate for the artist spotlight in the future sessions, head on the artist spotlight button above the chat and submit their online portfolio or Behance link so that we can highlight them in the future. And of course, stay tuned for the artist spotlight later.
Okay, fantastic. I was gonna add the tip as well, but I think that's, makes sense what we've done. We've done it over and over again. We've done it with the image. I'm just gonna cut this bit of the text for now and cut the tip, just because, I just heard that we got 15 minutes and so much work to do. So hopefully that was clear enough. Again, I'm gonna press Command S, Control S to save your document. Make sure to save at all time. And we're gonna just do the last preview just to make sure that everything works. So first of all, when we navigate, we move our mouse. We know already that those are buttons. Perhaps we will be useful also to maybe have a different colors, just so we know that those are, clickable buttons as a status. So you can change just the status of the normal. But otherwise, when we click on light, we have all the information regarding the light. When we click on food, we have all the information regarding the feeding of the plants, and same for water. We have all the information regarding the water, and we can keep clicking until we are tired of doing so. Fantastic. So, I hope my mom and dad are now relaxed of the fact that the text is like that for a reason, because they were so worried. They were like, I think you've done a mistake. The text wasn't readable. That's all part of our magic, and the fact that they don't understand English as well, of course. So, right, let's jump into more styling and perhaps some other exciting things. So the first thing here, I'm going to place back my little panel so we keep everything organized, and we go to our CC libraries. And as I said, this is an image and illustration that I created, and we can place it here just to sort of balance the entire illustration of the page. And again, use your frame in order to make sure that you have your image, framed correctly inside your pages. Here we go. You can resize it. You can do pretty much whatever you want. In this case, the text here is hiding. I can perhaps delete this pet friendly, as it's kind of redundant with the fact that it says that it's not toxic. Or maybe we can just put it here as a title. And look what happens now. The way that the text is displayed is different, because of course there was a character style attached to the word pets. And what we can do, because we have been so organized yesterday into our titles, all we have to do is simply head back to our character styles from our character panels. And I believe it was the first one here, the bolder one. And in just one click, we have pretty much adapted and created our style in order to be consistent with the rest of the text. So this is the beauty of creating character styles or paragraph styles. It will allow you to work so much faster, keep your file organized, and of course, be consistent in your production, which is makes a difference when you are producing, you know, your work. I think you can really tell a little bit about the experience and the amount of attention to details by the fact that something is done with a little bit more consistency. And working with paragraph styles and character styles will allow you to achieve that in just a few clicks.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of working in detail, Viola is saying, I love that illustration so much. It's awesome. It's looking great.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy. And actually, maybe now we can. Yeah.
Sorry, another compliment. I'm sure you can take some compliments, Kladi. Maxim is also saying great work.
I'm so happy. And since I'm taking actually a little break with questions and compliments, let me show off a little. So yesterday we talked about the print and the way that the book was printed. So the book is actually printed on cotton and recycled paper. This is one of the poster. I'll show you the book in a second as well. But you can see that it almost looked like as if it's screen printed. In reality, it's just that indigo water-based paper. And what I've done, I printed it in 3 different layers. So it's printed with white twice and then in CMYK, because remember, unless you are screen printing, your ink is going to be transparent, so the color are going to mix. That's why, you know, you just print in cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. But
that's a really great tip. That's a really great tip.
By placing the white underneath, first of all, we're going to have some white details. And as you can see, I've done that with all different prints. And the same here with the book. So here it is. Unfortunately, as I say, the book is not on sale, so it's not a promo.
But hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully, Kladi decided to do something about it. But yeah, so that's the actual real book that we are transforming, and that's the illustration that we were talking about just right now. And we're transforming from paper into a digital product. So hopefully, I'll be able to share the link as well here in the chat on Adobe Live, or maybe publish it on my Behance. Fantastic. So let's go back.
We have some amazing feedback again. Laura saying, oh my God, love it. Jatermia saying, that's so pretty. Steve saying, looks fantastic. And Merve saying, perfect. Awesome.
Amazing. Beautiful. But the entire idea is to get inspired by Frida Kahlo. So I thought, how could I implement the colors of Frida Kahlo? So first of all, we still have to place some colors inside our text, and maybe we start from there. And then once we start to use the color from the text, we will see how to edit the colors of our illustration starting by InDesign. And then if you perhaps, illustration is not your thing, you just like to create books and magazine and digital magazine, I will show you how you can leverage the amazing Adobe Stock to use pre-made professional vector illustration, and how to change their color as well in order to adapt them to your project. So this is like I would say part 2. We finished with a little bit of the button interactivity, and we're gonna start to work with the colors inside our document. So I generally don't remember if we did create a paragraph style for our title, but let's go ahead and click on paragraph style to see if we did that. No, it looks like we didn't get to the stage. Fantastic. So we already styled it. We can start by bringing in our color. Let's see from a CC library. So as you can see, we created many different colors here for our from our photos and from our mood boards from Frida Kahlo. And something else that you can do from your library is also right click on the little on whatever is the color palette that you want to use, and then click on add theme to swatches, and you can do that with any theme you like. And as you can see, once you head to your swatches panel and make sure to open it up, you'll be able to access this color theme directly inside your swatches. That means that right now that I am styling my text, I can just simply click on whatever color I want to use for my titles. So maybe I can use this beautiful maroon color or a blue, whatever you prefer, and then we can apply that to our text. So once we have styled our text, all we have to do is to click on the plus icon, and then from here we can create our paragraph style. As you can see, the paragraph style comes unnamed. It will just be paragraph style 1, 2, 3. Again, let's keep things nice and consistent while we work, and we're going to call this one title. And we already styled our text. You can come back from these paragraph style options and change any option at any time. But for now, I'm just going to keep it like that and just click on OK. And now we know that this is going to be applied to the title. And then let's move to the second part that is just, right below the title. We have this a second line, which is usually the terms, the common names, I think the common names in which the plants refer to. So Ceropegia woody is the current name, like the scientific name of the plant, while Chinese lantern plants, string of hearts, chain of hearts, sweetheart vine are the common name that you probably find much more easily on the website and stuff like that.
And
so
by the way, Woody is such a funny name.
Yeah, like it reminds you of Toy Story. Yeah.
Woody. Yeah, right.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do here is to click on the plus icon. Let's, make a little bit of a difference, and let's start to create our paragraph style by the paragraph style option. I like to work both ways. So you can either style and format it first and then capture it inside a paragraph style, or you can just create a new paragraph style and then start to play with the options directly from the dialog box here. So we're going to call this one subheading, because it becomes right away, or it doesn't matter, you don't have to give this generic name. You can actually call it common names, just to refer to the exact part of the text. I would recommend to use a generic name if you're working with a theme, with a team of people, just because they will give a little bit more of flexibility in understanding the structure of a page. But if you're working just, by yourself, you can use any name that you like, especially if you are familiar with the content of the book. Okay, so those are the common plant names. That's even better. That's a very long name for a paragraph style, but again,
it's very detailed.
Very detailed. And we can start to change the format. So again, I will suggest a 16 usually as a accessibility for the main body copy, but for details like that, we can maybe go away with something a little bit smaller. But in general, for the most important things, or for the main body copy, you will like to keep it on, it will be ideal to keep it at 16 to just respect the accessibility structure of a page. Make sure to click on the preview button to actually see what you're doing there. It looks like the leading is a little bit kind of too much for this point, so maybe we can just keep it to 15. And for those of you who don't know what's the leading is the space in between two lines. You never want to go under the actual point size, because it becomes really crowded. It becomes, it just becomes not legible. So unless you're creating a piece of art with type, and you are using type as shapes, and you're really trying to communicate a sense of claustrophobic, perhaps, atmosphere with your text, so you're just trying to communicate something with the structure of your text, if you want to focus on the fact that your text needs to be legible, I would strongly recommend not to keep your text so squished, and to allow some breathing space between the line, bearing in mind that you also don't want to exceed on having too much of a gap, because by doing that, you're going against the Gestalt rules, which are the law of perception. And in particular, we're talking about proximity. So when elements are close to each other, we can perceive them as part of the same group. Well, when we separate them, we automatically, our brain knows that those are part of two different items. So we don't want that to happen if we, if it's one same line that we got to read and it's part of the same paragraph. You want to make sure that you keep a decent side in which there is, your eyes can focus on single letter on every single line, but is kind of close, so you know that it's part of the same paragraph. So in this case, usually a couple points, maybe 15 or 16 from the point size is, by general rules, what I will use. Fantastic. And in this case, now that we have created this common plant's name, I will also go into my indents and spacing, which will allow you to create the difference from the main title and the subtitle here. So from the name of the plant to the common names, they look quite squished next to each other. So that will allow me to create some space before. Here it is. And as you can see, we are actually separating the title and really giving it its own space, so you can focus on the name on the plant, and then you can give just a little bit of a breathe to your eyes, and then you can land onto the common names on the subtitle. So the space, when you create a layout, the space is almost like breathing. So you really allow your viewers or your readers to you guide them through the legibility of the page, so you can establish a rhythm of reading. So if something is, and again, that's a way of communicating. If you want something to be fast, if you're talking about a gym activity fast, then you put all the text all together, and that will help you to communicate the sort of urgency. And that's why as well, usually when you have attention panel, the text is not spread out. The text is quite, in one shape all together, because you want all the information to go real quick and for everybody to read it fast. But for a book like this one, which is all about plant and relax and chilling, and is a really much more of a coffee table books to relax, you want to guide and give some space.
Leave it some space. Yeah, I totally agree. It's kind of like breathing, but for the brain. It's kind of, for the your brain eyes. Is like, it's like the brain is running, and then it gets like a second to like stop and relax. So absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. And then we have Nicole in the chat saying it's amazing. I start with InDesign for my final project on my for my interior design studies, and the live stream is helping me a lot. Thank you.
I'm so Nicole, happy to hear that.
I'm also really glad you're definitely in the right spot for learning InDesign. Kladi is just a master of InDesign. And Alibek is saying, by the way, Alibek, welcome, is saying InDesign is my weak side. Well, make it your strong side. This is the chance.
I love the positivity that Julie has. Okay, so here I'm going to create another character styles again, because what I'm doing is mainly bold color. Is adding color. As we say, we're focusing on the color because then we want to transform our illustration. So I'm going to call it bold color, and probably what I will do is to show you how to do that in a different way. So we know that in this text here, which is temp and lumex, let's actually rename it bold because we have applied it to other titles there. We want to keep the same changes. So we want to keep the same bold appearance to it and the same formatting. All we want to do is to duplicate it and add a different color. So how do we do that instead of creating, like I was doing, a new character style from scratch? We're very simple. You click on the bold or whatever is the character style that you want to duplicate it, and you drag it inside the little plus icon. And look what happened here. It created a bold copy. That means that I have all the overrides that I already created into my character style called bold. And now I can go ahead and call this one bold and then color, because I know that this one is going to also have a color feature to it. So we can start to add our little maroon color if we want to, and then simply click on OK. So see, we have our bold, which is still stays the same for whatever other pieces of text in which we have applied it to, and then the one with the color will be the one that is changed just for the temperature and lumex, just like so. Fantastic. So before we move forward and we talk about the next styles, what should we do first? Actually, I want to ask the chat, do you want to discover the next styles first, or you want to see how to recolor the illustration? What do you say, Julia?
I think recoloring illustration sounds so fun, and okay, I would love also to see some assets that we can find on stock. I think that would be really, really interesting to everybody. But of course, let us know in the chat what you all prefer.
Of course. So I'm going to do another duplicate. And again, I usually do not use more than 2 colors. This is just simply for the purpose of showcasing the beauty of having, multiple colors and how to adapt the illustration to it. So I create another color copy, and I'm going to color magenta. Again, I would do not suggest to use more than 2 colors in your document, but I think that that's a nice way. Let's see. It's a little bit too bold. See if the
Viola is saying she wants to see next styles.
Okay, so I added different colors here, and look what happens. The illustration has now a blue, as a maroon, and as a pink color, which are inspired from our Frida image, but they got nothing to do with our illustration, because the illustration that I've designed. What's going on in the chat, Julie? Let me know if we
styles. Have Viola and Laura both saying styles. Okay.
Okay. Then let's do the style first. Let's get the style out of the way, and then we can focus on the illustration.
Sounds good. And we have the artist spotlight in only 30 minutes. Yeah, and Voodooval was also mentioning earlier, of course, you can not only nominate somebody else, you can also nominate yourself for the Artist Spotlight. So feel free to apply for yourself as well.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So now that we say that we're going to work on the next styles, let's do that. So first thing that I want to do is to go back into, and again, I don't have to select the text. That's just a little bit more of a habit. We can always change the options of a paragraph style simply by heading to the paragraph style panel. And what I'm going to do is to double click on my title, because that's the place where you will assign the next style. And in the next style, which is located under the general tab inside the paragraph style option, I'm going to select common plant names. And the reason why I do that is because I know that after my title, it will always come a common plant names, or whatever is the long name that I gave to this paragraph style. Or again, you can do the same for question and answer. That's super useful if you have a page layout that is got a lot of repeating styles. So, you know, if it's like question, answer, or I don't know, if you have a lot of different, you know, even if it's like a magazine and you have a title and then you have an heading, you can nest also more than two next styles as well, simply by placing each next style on the style that you are creating. So let's see how it works first, because I think that if you've never used it before, it just can seem confusing from the description. What is much easier when you actually see it in action. Right. So what I've done here, I've basically told to my paragraph style, hey, after my title, what I want to see is this common plant name. So that's the structure that is going to be. And make sure that you click on create. And then we're going to go ahead and use the text that is here from our plants. Let's grab another plant. In this case, we have our Monstera Deliciosa or the Swiss cheese plant. And I'm going to press copy. And then, Deliciosa.
Sounds like it's delicious.
Yes, that's exactly, I think, what the meaning is. And I'm going to press Command V to copy it. Now, let's make sure that we apply a basic paragraph, meaning there is no styling over there, or maybe just a body copy, whatever you want. And then we can delete common name. The most important thing here is to make sure that you do have a break in between the two lines. So whenever this is going to be a title, we want to make sure that
there's a paragraph between them, right?
Yes. And by the way, I was working in preview mode. If you want to work in a normal mode, all you have to do is to press the W key, and you will see all the our columns and margin appearing. And if you want to see if there is a break or not, a paragraph break, you can show or hide your hidden characters by using the shortcut Option Command I. That will be Alt Control I if you're working on a Windows machine. Here we go. So now we know that we have a break, which it looks just like that. It's like an inverted P that stands for a paragraph break, just like so. And I actually want to show you, let's just pretend that that's like sort of an index where we just have name and then common name. And let's add another plant as well. I believe that I had another plant sample. Pilea, here we go. So again, this is just to show you the beauty and the magic of next styles. So what I'm going to do is simply to add it here. And again, I know that there is a break over here, a break over there. We can delete common names because we're not using it. And here it is. All I have to do now is to make sure that after my common name, I know that I have another plant's name. So that will be another title. So our next style will have to be heading and then subheading, or the way that I named it, title and then common name, because that's the way that basically our text is flowing. So before starting to style, make sure that we double click on our common name plants, and we also assign a next style, which in this case will be the title. So we will have pretty much all we want is Monstera Deliciosa and Pilea to be styled with a title, and then Swiss cheese plant and the other rest of the name styled as per their common names. Okay, now that we have assigned both styles, click on OK. And I want to show you something. If I go ahead...
Voodooval is so funny. She's saying, when I read Monstera Deliciosa, I just think delicious monsters. That's how I remember it. Delicious monsters, yummy.
That's super funny. No, I'm never
Did you
gonna
have
be
a
able to
monster
forget
for
that.
lunch today?
Delicious mustard. By the way, it is a mustard. Like I have one of those plants, and I don't know how much is in feet, or I don't know the imperial measurement, but it's over 2 meters tall. It's a
Probably
4
like
years old
7
plant.
feet.
Yeah, I just trust you.
I think a meter is like 3 feet and something, as far as I know.
It's huge, like it's a big baby, and it's called Matilda, by the way. I have 147 plants, and at least 40 of them have a name, and that should tell you a lot about me.
Very nice. Are they all also called Frida and Kahlo?
No, there is no Frida and Kahlo. Those are the cats. Just the
They're
cats.
like Frida and Kahlo's friends' names.
Absolutely, those are all the amazing inhabitants of my house. Okay, so let's apply these paragraph styles. And before doing so, I just wanted to say, the beauty of working with text styles is doesn't affect the way that you apply styles. So even we have applied the next style, if I go and just apply a title, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to change, and it's not going to ruin my workflow. So, because the point is that what if I want to make some text a title, but then I don't want it to follow by the next style? If that would have been automatic, it would have been a mess, because it will leave me no option to choose to apply or not apply next style. It will be automatic, and it's not. I know that many people struggle to understand that, because when they apply a next style, they just wanted to have it there. But it's very useful that is not automated, because you can just choose when to apply it. And in this case, all I have to do is to select my little text box, and then right click into my title, which is the one that I want to apply. And as you can see here, I have an option to apply title and then next styles. And look what happened once I click on that. It changes all the styles. So I have the styles and the character styles applied there. Now, I don't know if I also have, it looks like I have a character styles applied into it. Yeah, which is click. Of course, if we click into none, we also add the option to do that from here. So when right click on it, it says apply next style and clear character styles. So the character styles was the click one, which was this magenta color. So if we apply title, then next style, and we clear the character style, so there is no override, we have the pure settings and formatting of our paragraph styles. Here we go. In just one click, we already created title, common name, title, common name. And imagine when you have a full page of question and answer or repeating styles there. You can perhaps style and like pretty much an entire book if you have a title, subheadings, or like a magazine if you're writing an editorial and you have all this style repeating. Once you're organized and you create them, just click on the text box and apply the first style with apply next, and everything is going to be rolled out by InDesign. I absolutely love this feature.
Cool. It's amazing. Yeah, definitely. When you have a longer text and you need to use different styles and that, it's really super helpful. And we have Tonch in the chat. Hi, good to see you. And Sol is saying, hey, I'm from Argentina. And Laura is here also from Argentina. Very nice.
Oh, fantastic.
And Laura is also saying, oh my God, I didn't know that option. Beautiful. Awesome.
Fantastic. I'm so happy. Right. So it's now time to satisfy Julia's request regarding playing with some illustrations, and we have so much work to do. So let's get cracking. I'm going to now focus on the image. So as I said, the main point was to select our color from our lovely Frida Kahlo. That's what we got, this darker blue, this maroon, and this pink color, which are gorgeous and are inspired to my beloved Frida Kahlo, but they got nothing to do with the illustration. So again, consistency is the key in order to create a coherent production, no matter what you're working on. If you're working on a movie, if you're working on photography, if you're working on a poster, consistency is the key to make something look like belongs to the same project.
And also consistency. Let's say you have the two dark blue tones. If they're slightly different, it might cost you more to print it if you're printing with spot colors, when you have to adjust every single color. So make sure to keep the colors exactly the same if you want to save cost, not on digital print, but like spot color print. That can make a difference.
So as we know, we brought in this artwork. This is an artwork that I've created actually on Illustrator on the iPad, and then I saved it. And let me just show you, if you weren't there yesterday, I think it's worth it to see how to import it. So this is the original illustration. Command Y in Illustrator to see all the beautiful vector lines that create the illustration. All you do is select your libraries and then right click on it and click to add to library in order to add it. I'm just gonna do it with another plan, so I just don't want it to be confusing. Maybe
usually when I click so the Z, so if you want to click Command and Z on a German keyboard, it's located right where the English Y is located. So in the beginning, when I switched from a German to a American keyboard, I would always play Command and always press Command and Y, and then all the outlines suddenly appear, and it would always confuse me so much. I was like, no, how do I go back? But yeah, it's a shortcut Command and Y to go basically to see the outlines, and that can really help you work precisely on your illustration, make sure that everything aligns, that things are, you know, precise and connect where they're supposed to connect.
Yes, sorry, Julia. In the meantime, I did put a jacket on because here in Manchester, besides being like evening, it's getting really chilly. So I'm just like taking advantage, just
it's really warm over here. I'm in Florida, by the way.
Enjoy for me as well. And let us know in the chat, where are you tuning in from?
Yeah.
I'm super excited to see the international community at Adobe Live. So the reason why I was doing that is to show you that the illustration does come from Illustrator. So it is an Illustrator file. And then what I've done is just simply placed it inside our CC library. So it's actually linked to the CC library. Now, when we bring an element in the CC library is available to use throughout our CC library, throughout all the other Creative Cloud application. In this case, we just drag it inside InDesign. And as you can see, the new one that I've selected is already there, ready to be used. Although it doesn't link it to the original file, it creates a standalone assets. And we're going to see that in just a second. In fact, if you want to edit your image, all you have to do is to click on the artwork, in this case, this one that we have selected, then right click into it and then click on edit. And what you will see, it will open this this file that it was stored inside our Creative Cloud library. And all we have to do is to press Command A to select all our vectors and then click on edit. First of all, perhaps we want to make sure that we add our colorful palette, which is exactly the same palette that we lifted from the photo and we're using in InDesign, and we add it to our color swatch. So it's add theme to swatches. And if we head over the window menu and then swatches, we're going to be able to see that the swatches harmony is there. And that's very important because that's going to be very useful for us to recolor it. All you have to do with your image selected is to click on edit, then edit colors, and then recolor artwork. Now we can click on advanced option to select our colors that we have in our that we have lifted from our photo. And I'm going to show you another way of doing that, but I just want to show you that one of the way to use exactly the same color palette that we are sharing with our Creative Cloud, just so we are 100% sure that the same color that we're using and selecting in InDesign are exactly the same color. So in this case, we are recoloring by leveraging the swatches and the color palette that is stored inside our Creative Cloud library. And once we do so, we can click on OK, and then press Command S to save your file. And all we're left to do is go back into InDesign. And look what happened. The image is already updated. So now the color of the title, the color of our bold styles, and the color of the pink are already been updated on our image. So we don't have to do anything. We don't need to update the file. We don't have to redo it. We don't have to do anything. Everything is already there, ready for us to be to be used. Like literally all we have to do is to edit them in Illustrator, and here it is. Now, the reason why I was talking about specifically recolor throughout the swatches is because there is a new fantastic way of recoloring your artwork and your vector in Illustrator, which has been introduced in Max 2020, and is the new ReColor artwork workspace. So I'm going to select a different image just for let's just select this plant over here. And then I'm just going to create a copy. And let's see that I want to recolor this image here. All I have to do is to go back to my Frida Kahlo image. So let's go ahead into our Finder and let's see if we can be nice and organized into finding the stream and then Frida. And that was the image that we were working with, that we lifted the color palette from. And here she is.
I love the colors in this one.
So in order to lift the colors, and again, the reason why we didn't do this method before, it's simply because we were working with a specific color palette. So we just want to make sure that the color values were exactly the same. Although if you just want to apply and lift color from any images and recolor your artwork from this color palette from the image, you can do so in Illustrator by simply selecting your artwork, then heading to the edit menu, edit colors, and click on the recolor artwork. And we have this beautiful new panel that, again, as I mentioned, was launched during Max 2020, just the past October, the wonderful free online creative conference that was just mind-blowing last year. And all you have to do is to click on the color theme picker and then simply click inside your image. And look what happened. You actually have applied the color from the photo to your graphic. Now, if you're not too happy about the color distribution, don't worry about it. You can move the prominent color. So let's say I don't want the maroon to be so prominent because it's too dark. And the same for this sand color. I would just want a little bit more contrast with the blue and the pink. You can change the distributions of the color just like so. And I think that that's a very wonderful way of playing with colors. You can also adjust the brightness, although I wouldn't do that because otherwise you lose the fidelity of the color that you've picked from the actual photo. And if you head to advanced options, let's say I don't want the leaves to be sand color. I just want them to be purple. Well, all you have to do is simply to click and drag in order to swatch the color harmony, and you will still be able to use the same color, but at the same time you can swatch which elements they will be applied to. So this is a fantastic way of recoloring artworks in Illustrator. Then simply click on OK, and here we go. We have now our vector illustration matched to the beautiful Frida Kahlo image in just a few clicks. Okay, so another thing that we were talking about was Adobe Stock, and what happened if you do not have access to these illustrations, because like, fair enough, I created the illustrations myself, so I do have all these files available. But what if you want to create and add images to your editorial pieces, but you do not, you don't want to, or it is not your priority to learn how to create an illustration yourself, but maybe you don't have the budget, or your clients doesn't have the budget to pay or to hire a commissioned work from a professional illustrator. Well, that's where Adobe Stock comes to your rescue, because it will allow you in just a few clicks to browse and choose some amazing professional Illustrator file directly into InDesign. That you don't even have to leave InDesign. You can stay focused on creating, and you can stay focused on your production and on your file. And all you have to do is simply to select your Creative Cloud libraries. I have a feeling that the Creative Cloud are going to take a really prominent feature in the future of working together, because between the sharing and between all the services that are added into it with the stock, and the fact that we can store fonts and we can do so many beautiful things, I really have a feeling that we're going to be using those more and more. At least I am in my workflow, and I would definitely recommend to do the same. So I don't know, Julie, if there is any question before I start to dive into stock.
Yeah, so we have Woodval just saying, wow, this is cool. I should use ReColor more often. And then Amy saying, Adobe Max made me start classes for graphic design. And there is a question by Robert, which I'm not quite sure what is meant here. If the book is no longer printed, how to tune the automatic margins so that they are certainly delayed and nothing happens to the content? I'm not quite sure. I think maybe, I guess maybe thinking of, when you have the bleed, when you print the book, how can you create a digital version of that, kind of, I guess, removing the bleed maybe, or I'm not quite sure.
So if the problem is the bleed to have automatic margins.
I'm not sure, Robert. Maybe you can give us a little more like detail on your question, so it's easier to understand.
I just think that Robert is just worried about the change of the structure, but there is nothing to worry about. We're going to see how to share a document online. Of course, if you create and set your document ready to be digital from the get-go, they will be so much better, just because you can take care of so many details and you have more control on the production. But if you don't have time to do so, and if you just want to transform your document into a digital document, in just pretty much 10 minutes, we're going to jump into that, how to share it online. Yeah. You will see how easy it is to do it, and you can do it with any document. You just create a PDF and it will transform into a link hosted onto an Adobe server, so it will be available to be shared anywhere you want, and you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about the margins. Everything is gonna be consistent. Yeah, the only time that you have to.
Yeah. Sorry, he's kind of clarifying. The problem is the margin is inside or outside.
The inside or outside margin.
I think he's thinking of the bleed, and in this case, Robert, this document is not going to be printed, so it's going to be a digital document, whereas Kladi's actual book is a printed document, and there you would need the bleed if you actually print it. I guess,
Julie, I have another interpretation, because I think when you talk about a inside or outside margin, usually you talk about the setup of a printed document. When you have an inside margin, you have a larger margin for the inside of the page, because you need to take into account the spine. So you will have a larger margin. So unfortunately, unless you do change that manually, or you can change the size of your document, and then InDesign will change the content for you. There is no other way to automatically realign to a different margin unless you do it automatically. You can resize it, but again, the space in between the pages will be different. So usually there is no much difference. It's usually around 10 millimeters. So that shouldn't be something that you really worry about. Something that I do, perhaps, is a very cool idea actually, and that we can show here. If you have that issue with the inside margin that is slightly larger because you were taking consideration the spine, what I do, I add some fake shadows, which it basically creates some almost like a feel that the spread is like a page. And let me show to do that real quick. I know that I keep jumping into different things, but that's the beauty of the live. So let's say I'm gonna just open a new document real quick, set it for print, and make it an A5. Oops. And then that's exactly what Robert was saying. The inside margin is going to be a little bit larger. So I'm going to make it like 20. And I'm going to give it like 5 pages like we did. I'm just going to click on create real quick. So as we can see, the margin at the inside, and it looks like I went too quick because I didn't really do it right. We need to make sure that we create our inside margin a little bit larger, just like so. So if that's the case, if that's your problem, and you are actually then deciding to share it online and you don't know what to do with that white space because the content will be too far apart, what I would suggest to do is to create some fake shadow. And all you have to do is to click on the rectangle tool and then really zoom in inside to make sure that you are actually on the actual margin of the page, and then click and drag to create a rectangle, and click and drag with the selection tool just by pressing the letter V to create a rectangle that goes from the very top of the page to the very bottom and sits exactly on the margin. Make sure to really zoom in, because if you don't do that well, you might have some ugly white line in between. So you want to be very precise when you create this. Then simply head to the gradient tool, and we're going to apply a gradient by clicking and dragging. And in this case, I want to make sure that I head into my gradient panel, which I think that I've hidden before, but you can always find it under by choosing window and then under color. And here we can reverse the gradient. So the darker part is of course inside because that's the shadow, and you can change the color. You can do whatever you want. Of course, I'm going a little bit fast. I probably wouldn't choose black to start with. I would choose a little bit of a lighter color. But again, this is just to give you an idea. And then what I will do is to select the gradient, go under the opacity and select the blending mode to multiply. Of course, we don't have anything to multiply right now. Also set the opacity down perhaps to a 20% and make sure that your gradient is a little bit smoother. The gradient there created is quite harsh at the moment. Again, feel free to change the color and to make it into something that is a little bit less harsh, maybe just a gray. But the whole point is that once you do that and then create a copy by pressing Command C and then Shift Option Command V, that's Shift Alt Control V on a Windows, and you reflect it just like so, and you place it on the other side of the spine, what you're doing is using that extra inside margin to create the effect of a fake shadow. So it actually looks like a little mock-up. It's almost like you have that spine and you are duplicating that effect. And you actually can place that on your master, so it will be right away applied to all your pages.
Yeah,
so
and what it does, it kind of gives the effect that there is less white space. I think that's kind of the visual function of it. And I think that's a really great tip. It's a really great idea if you don't know, if you don't want to create an extra file and, try to reduce the space. I think that's a really great kind of compromise to create this visual kind of book mock-up effect.
Perfect. So now we got to jump into stock. So what we were saying before is, what do we do if we're not an illustrator? We don't have the budget for the illustration, but we want to add illustrations to our images, right? Stock comes to save us by providing us with some professional vector files that we can edit and we can use for our publication. To head into this stock, amazing stock libraries, all you have to do is to select your CC Libraries panel, which is like all the other panels located under the window menu, and then make sure to click on the down pointing arrow in order to change that where are you searching your file from, because at the moment the standard default for your search bar is on current library. So you want to select Adobe Stock in order to change the destination of your search. And here what we're going to be, let's see if we actually look for a Seropegia. I don't know if that's going to be too much. I didn't done that trial before. Seropegia woody plant. It looks like it's too much of a details. Let's just say plant. Here it is. And then from here, I'm going to click into the little filter icon and then select illustrations. Once I select vectors. By changing the filter, you're going to be able to tell automatically to the wonderful Adobe Stock library what sort of file are you looking for. Now, I want to stick to vectors because I want to show you how to use vector illustrations. Although, if you're looking to create an editorial with photos, nothing stops you to select photos and to look at the amazing photos of plants that you have available. So select vectors, and by clicking on the filter and narrow down your research, you can see that we have so many lovely plant illustration. And if you want to have a little bit of a better look to your file, all you have to do is to drag out the libraries, make it as big as you want, and that will allow you to look at these magic plants. By the way, look how beautiful these lines illustrations are.
Yeah,
I absolutely
so nice.
love.
We have 1 minute until the artist spotlight, Kladi. So let's maybe create a little something quick and then.
Yeah, so all I'm going to do is to show you how to bring in any of these images. All you have to do is to click on the plus icon. As you can see, this one has already have a tick because I already licensed it. So that will allow me to edit it. Otherwise, if you do not license it, and in order to license it, you need to press on the cart icon, you will not be able to edit them. So in order to edit the file, you will have to license first. So let's click on the plus icon in order to save these plants inside our little library, and make sure that you are on the actual library in order to add them to your current library for the project. I think the last thing that I want to do here is to right click on it and click on edit in order to open this file in Illustrator. And how many seconds do we have? Probably should we stop here?
3.
And then,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break and
absolutely.
let's do the artist spotlight again. For everybody who doesn't know about the artist spotlight, you can nominate yourself or somebody else to be highlighted, to be spotlighted, and to be shown off on one of our future streams. So if you want to be part of it or think that one of your friends might be great for this, make sure to apply at the artist spotlight. So today we have a wonderful artist and designer. Her name is Laura Romano. Laura is a graphic designer from Buenos Aires, and I believe Laura is also here in the chat. So
fantastic.
It's super, super cool to have you here also watching this. I'm sure this will be a great surprise. All right, so let's take a look at Laura's amazing Behance. Kladi, hopefully you can see it. Kladi, do you want to pick a first project to take a look at?
Yes, I can. Let's have a look. I love that yellow, pink, and blue.
Okay, it's called Natura Magazine Redesign Templates. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Speaking of magazines, speaking of E-zine or E-zine, I believe. So let's take a look. We have some beautiful typography here at the top. Super, super nice. Okay, let's see. Work developed within the Avatar Agency, Argentina. Very nice. And the objective of this project was to generate a system of standardized resources and templates in order to be able to apply it in the same way in all LATAM magazines and to speed up the production process based on Natura's 2020 brand book. Very nice.
I love the way that it's laid out. I really love that presentation. I think that it really gives right away an outlook.
Yeah, I love it. I also love the problems that you kind of put together on this type of, post-it kind of presentation. Very, very nice. Love how you're showing the process also. I think that's a really good insight, and we can see
the color palette. I mean, the color palette, I think, is right away what really grabbed my eyes.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, great job.
And again, like we were saying, consistency there. Throughout the project, we have the same color palette moving from the background. We have the same yellow that it was used in the layout. So we see the grid, then we see that like used in the layout, like I was showing yesterday, in order to create a composition, and then used also as a background of the final mock-up.
Yeah.
10 on 10. Love it.
Yeah, great job. Also here with the mock-up design, I think this is super great. And then we have some different applications of that template, and it works super, super well. Okay, so this was before, and this is after. Way more dynamic. Yeah,
I think that the colors really, they really do talk a lot about the theme, and I think she's done an absolutely fantastic job.
Yeah, I agree.
With the display. And like that's something else that I usually advise, and I think she's done wonderfully. And do you mind repeating the name, Laura?
Yeah, Laura. Yeah, Laura Romano.
Laura, where are you from? Maybe
from
it's
Argentina.
Laura. Oh, so no, it's not Laura.
Laura.
Maybe it's Laura. I don't know if
it's Laura. Yeah, for sure.
In Italian, it's Laura. So
yeah,
let us know. But what I was saying that she's done in a fantastic way is the fact that she focused on one spread at a time. Sometimes I see some wonderful work, and perhaps I'm the first victim of this bad habit of crowding your presentations. I love the way that she plays one spread at a time with a contrast background, so you can really focus on her design, and you can really take advantage of all the full spaces of the presentation.
Yeah, I also love how, the spread is sticking out, as you say. And sometimes, I see a white background, and then you see the white design on top. And sometimes it gets really hard to distinguish what's the background and what's the spread. And I think, showing off Editorial is really important to create a contrast to the background. with the background. So I think Laura did a really great job here.
Yes, and she say yes, Laura, like in Italy. Fantastic.
Nice.
I want to say hi to my mom, Julie. Nice to see you. I love that she's behaving. Usually she writes in Italian in the chat. She's got bond a couple of times.
Nice.
Fantastic. So let's see other project. I don't know if there is more. Scrolling down.
Yeah, there is more. This seems to be a big project. I mean, this is super cool. And I love how you're also summarizing the challenge and the role. I think, you know, to create a portfolio, this is so important to really make sure that, you know, a future client knows exactly what you did there and what the challenge was, that you put thought into it. Definitely love this one.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Go ahead and check your portfolio because it's super cool. You choose one now, Julia. I chose the first.
Yeah.
You can choose the second.
This one speaks a lot to me because it's very typography based and I love typography. Very nice. FUA, El Diego. I love this. First of all, I love this type of mockup. It looks very appealing to me.
I think you've done something similar on your Instagram.
Yeah,
about
recently.
Niche.
Yeah. That one was actually a 3D model.
Okay.
So I was experimenting with dimension there. It's super cool. You can really create really nice textured elements and then place type on them. Really cool way to present. FUA El Diego. Okay, this seems to have to do with soccer. Like a poster series for soccer. I love it. I love how there's such a big variety of, you know, having a tagline, then just having the logo, and then having something more text-based. I think it's a really great balance. And I love the way you're presenting this. The mockups are super cohesive. They look like they belong together.
I completely agree. And again, color palette is all within the same cold tone. So we can see blues, grays, and this sort of like light cyan color and a mix between the two. Almost like a monochromatic going from a darker blue to a gray. And look at the typography showing.
Love it. Yeah, love it. Love the way you play with, you know, the number 10 in the background and then overlaying it with typography. The hierarchy here is incredible. I love it. I think you're doing a great job here, you know, kind of differentiating between the different parts of kind of dividing the information.
I'm just giggling because, like, of course, it was Maradona, and that tells how much me and Julia know about football.
Yeah, I know nothing about football.
Yeah, same here.
I'm a big fan of typography and Maradona. Okay, yeah,
beautiful work.
But yeah,
sorry that we don't know.
Yeah,
much, we just can tell you that you've done a fantastic job in terms of mockups and colors and typography. And look at that, what a beautiful mockup! And let us know, Laura, since you're in the chat, is that a mockup or is that a photo? Because it's very well designed.
Yeah, it looks very realistic. If it's a mockup, it's a very, very well done mockup. I love this one. I love the black and white designs of you. I think it's just great. And then we have some more application onto some swag. We have some shirts and an apron here. Thank you. I also love how you're writing it all in different language. I think it's important for you know, anybody who's looking through your project to really understand what it's all about. So if you all are not English speaking, I think it's always great to kind of add an English translation to your project on Behance.
Great idea. So Laura is saying that is a mock-up. Beautiful,
cool.
Very clean.
Yeah,
very
some
clean.
really amazing mock-ups.
What a gorgeous portfolio. Let's see, what is that pink? Oh, okay, never mind.
Which one?
That's fine. We can. I was the pink over the white background, a little bit lower. Yeah, almost there. On the right.
This one. This one.
Above. On the left.
This one.
Almost there. Yeah.
This seems to be ilustración para la marcha. It seems to be like an illustration for a march.
For the Olympics, I think.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It seems to be.
I really love that pink and white contrast. It was really.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
red.
red. It's red,
Red.
but you know, that's the perception that we get when our eye kind
The
of
two colors.
starts mixing colors. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is when we put some white into red, it becomes looking more pinkish. Very nice. I love it. I also, again, I love your mock-up choices. You always choose mock-ups with a lot of texture. It's just amazing. I love it.
It really speaks a lot about the the contextualization, so making it more realistic, more contextualized into the environment, rather than just having a flat. Ooh, is that some work in progress?
This seems to be some lettering here, lettering work. I love the process images. First of all, I love the the way you kind of show the sketches and progress. Very nice. Cool. Beautiful. And then adding some color into it, creating color variations. Super nice. Great work. I love it, Laura. This is awesome.
Let's look at those icons, like the fourth one on the first row.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Pharmacy iconography.
Really cool.
I love the color palette. It's very unique. I mean, I think clean, iconography,
very minimalistic.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think iconography can be really challenging sometimes. And you did a really amazing job. Cool. Nice job.
We're loving it. Awesome. We're loving it. Props for Laura. Can we share again her Behance, please? Because she definitely deserves a lot of follows. Let's see how many followers she has right now. I want to see that number grow.
Yeah.
Okay, Julia, can you tell her Behance name and Behance profile?
It's behance.net/Laura Romano.
Laura Romano.
Laura Romano. Everybody go follow and check out and give her some likes on her projects. Go and check out her social media here on the left side, and also hire her for some work. And here's an email contact also. So yeah, great job, Laura. We love your work. Amazing. Thanks so much for anybody who nominated Laura. Maybe you nominated yourself. Very, very nice. We loved it. Great job.
And I'm actually here looking at our profile, spying
through. I think everybody does that who is in the chat right now. Very nice. Yes, Tuncha's saying you should stream about lettering, Laura Romano. Yeah, I totally agree. Awesome. Well, Kladi, let's jump back into
yes, let me move back.
Yeah, you were actually stalking.
I'm stalking Laura. You caught me. You caught me. I was stalking Laura. Right, so let's go back where we left it, and we were in Illustrator. And what we did, for those of you who are just maybe catching up now after watching the wonderful Laura portfolio artist spotlight, we would just simply browse some of the amazing stock vectors, professional vectors that are available, ready to use on stock, and we browse them directly in InDesign. We've been able to access the library, search the Adobe Stock library, filter into the illustration, vector illustration, found our images, added to the library, and we were at the point in which we were going to edit it right away into Illustrator. So remember, in order to edit any file, and all you have to do is to right click into it and then click on edit. That's what I did in order to have the file open into Illustrator over here. So once we have the file open, you can choose any sort of file you want. This is actually probably better for the little Monstera plant. It doesn't look like there is any Ceropegia, any little plant, but we can just use any of those. I'm just going to pick this little plant over here. And what I'm going to do,
looks great. Love it.
I'm going to do is simply drag it inside the library. And then if I want to, now that is, remember, when you drag an element in the library, it creates an asset that is linked into your library. So you can edit that at any time. And just like we did, select on edit, and you will see just this item will come up. Command A, that's Control A on a Windows in order to select all the graphic elements. Then click on object and, edit, and then edit edit colors to recolor the artwork if you want to apply the same color palette that we were using before. As you can see, we're working on a new file, so we do not have the colors into the swatches. So perhaps before doing that, all I want to do is to select the same plant zine or plant zine colorful theme that we were using in our document to make sure that even if we are using a vector file downloaded from Adobe Stock, we will be able to use our color palette inspired by the amazing Frida Kahlo. That is the one that we're using for our document in order to make sure that that consistency is there. So once we created that, all we have to do is to right click on it and add a theme to swatches, and as you can see is added there. And now we can go back and select our plant, Command A, edit colors, recolor artwork, and click on advanced options in order to apply our color theme. Ooh, it looks so beautiful.
Love it. Yeah,
very nice. Again, you can swap the colors. If you know, perhaps the pink wasn't the prominent color, you can change it and use it in whatever way you want. You can also perhaps eliminate the pink completely if you don't want to do that. Double click on the color, click on color swatches, and maybe we can use just the lighter pink instead of that, or maybe the lighter blue, and click on OK. As you can see that besides the color used, there are also some tints and some shades, so some lighter or darker colors variation, and you can see where they are applied. I'm going to zoom in into my ReColor artwork dialog box so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So the main color sits on top, and the one sits the one with the tints and shades sit on the bottom. If you don't want to use a scale of tints, all you can do is simply click on exact. By doing that, it will eliminate all the tints and shades, and it will keep the color more faithful to the original production that you had. I kind of liked it the way it was, but let's keep the same color just to have a little bit more faithful production to what the color palette is for our book. Now click on OK, and let's make a change to our swatch group. Let's click OK, that's absolutely fine, and press Command S to save your file. This is now going to be
very important.
Yes, will be available now into your CC library right away. As usual, the CC library update right away, and we can place our beautiful image here in the text. And because it's a vector, we will be able also to scale it endlessly, yes. From as small as a business card or a logo or a little icon to as big as an entire building. That's the beauty of working with vectors. And that's the difference between a vector file and a raster file. If you work with a Photoshop image or a raster file, you want to be very careful on the dimension of the file that you're using, because when you tend to stretch, you will lose a quality and you will encounter the so-called pixelation. So the edges of the image will become blurred.
Raster file sounds so funny. It sounds like a rasta, you know, like it reminds me of reggae. Raster file.
That's funny. That's very funny. That's hilarious. Anyway, so something else I wanted to show you. I know we got 10 minutes and I want to show off a little bit of the review. Before we do that, there is another amazing feature. I'm trying to cover in pretty much all the amazing features of the release in Max 2020. Is the new amazing smart way of working with Adobe Sensei. So I'm going to move the images around because I don't want to mess our buttons. So I'm just going to take advantage of the little content that we have on top. And let's just move the image maybe around just so it's kind of like peeking in. And that will allow us to keep our 0-page artwork, which I believe was over here. So we can keep like more than one images. I know that that's not the real image, but that will help us to use it. So in the past, whenever we used images and we wanted to put the text around, what would have happened is that we can have the text around the image, and I'm going to press Command Shift left curly bracket to bring the image behind. So we could have wrapped the text around the image. In order to do so, you want to head under the window menu and select text wrap. So the general text wrap is usually the wrap around object shapes, which is the third is the third icon here, and under text wrap. And what it does, as you can see, is uses the text frame, so the border around the image, which are usually rectangular, square, or this have this pointed icon corner angle, to wrap it around. That's not the best option. It will usually, you know, require for you to, you know, do a lot of work in Photoshop in order to select the image. But we have now the amazing control option called Select Subject. This is, as I say, the amazing Adobe Sensei, Adobe Artificial Intelligence, the same select subject like we use in Photoshop, if you're familiar with it. And once we click on it, look what happens. InDesign will select the subject. So if you zoom in, you can see now that, oops, let's make sure that we zoom in on the entire file and not on the image itself. So here we go. You can see that now the file that is selected is actually the vector file. So the subject is now the leaf. So InDesign has went around the image and really take care of selecting the actual leaf. So if we bring it in inside our text, you can see that the text will warp around the subject itself, not around the frame. And this is one of the fantastic new features. So Julie, do you want to do a little quick share for review, because I know that we got like 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, of course. I'm ready to go.
Fantastic. So in order to share the file, make sure that to click on the share icon. And first of all, I wanted to make sure that I say it before we run out of time, how to export it, how to publish it online. All you have to do is to click on Publish Online, and the dialog box will open up in order to publish your document. I'm going to call this one Plant Zine Work in Progress, as we haven't finished it yet. Here we go. But maybe it would be, you know, a way that you can share it already online. You can publish a new document. You can write a description if you want. You can export it as a single page, or you can export the entire spread. And if you click on Advanced, you will also be able to have a cover. So you can upload a separate cover that doesn't belong to the actual image for your magazine, which is absolutely amazing. And once you click on Publish, InDesign will take just a little second in order to upload in the document, of course, depending on the size. And then once the document is uploaded, you will be able to have the link and to share it. And also to share it on social media. I'm going to click on copy and see if I can also place it in the chat. Let's see if I can do that real quick. We're going to have a little bit of a meta projections here of seeing each other twice for a second. And let's see if I can do that real quick into our chat. Here it is.
Nice.
So that's our document. And maybe Val, please, if you can share the clickable links. Of course, we don't have a cover. We just focus on creating the content, but you will be able to actually see the work that we've done. And of course, that becomes very useful when you have a final product that you're able to share. And the beauty is that whenever you update it, you don't have to create a new link. You simply go back to share online. But in that case, instead of creating a new document, so publish online, in this case, all you have to do is updating existing file. So you don't need to recreate multiple links. The link they created will be valid for the entire project, for the entire life of a project, and for all its update. But
George is asking, good question, does it make it public for everyone? I think you can put limitations if you wanted to, but usually I think the default is for everyone, right?
Yeah.
The one who everyone who has the shared link.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And again, you can, is hosted on an Adobe server. So if you go back, you can see that is InDesign.adobe.com, and then that's your file there. Right. I'm really sorry that I didn't manage to finish everything. It looks a little bit messy, but we talked about many different topics. Julia, let's see if we can make it the share for review. I'm going to...
Yeah, we have like one and a half minutes, 2 minutes left.
Should we try? Let's try. I'm going to click on, at least try to share, and then we can click on share and share for review, and then click on create, and all we have to do here. And if not, I mean, that's at least you know that that's the way that you can do it. You can set it to invite only. So this is actually a private way of sharing. And I can invite Julia to review it. And once Julia has been invited, she will receive a link. And I don't know if we can switch to your screen.
We can switch to my screen. Awesome. And now, so Kladi sent me the document. I got an email and I opened the link in the browser, and I can literally go in here and I can see the design, and I can adjust, create some pins. Let's say I want to adjust something here, and I can leave a comment, and Kladi can then see the comments that I left, and she can also reply or resolve them. So it's a really, really amazing way to kind of review. You can also draw a shape here, and then you can write, change something and submit, and then Kladi will be able to see what I drew here and just make the changes.
Yes, if we jump real quick into my screen, I know that we got 1 minute. Paco is making the magic happen. Thank you so much for working with us in the last 30 seconds. You can see that I have everything that Julia's done. I haven't done anything. All the changes are actually happening inside my document in InDesign. Make sure to press the W key to see them. If you are on preview mode, you won't be able to see it. You need to go in normal mode. And what is so important is that it will be so much faster and easier to edit your document, and your client and your teammates don't need to have InDesign in order to do so. But I think It's time to say goodbye.
Kladi, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing all of this amazing, valuable knowledge. Thanks everybody for joining, and stay tuned for the XD Daily Creative Challenge and later on some other amazing shows. So Kladi, thank you again so much.
Thank you. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at I am Kladi and at Julia Masalska. We'll love to say hi to you. And thank you so much for having me. As usual, I had a blast. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.